is a tribal district of Himachal Pradesh situated more than 200 kilometers from Shimla, the state capital, and it nestles below Tibet. It is dominated by high snow-clad peaks and lush river valleys. The road to Kinnaur first bypassed Shimla, then climbed up to Narkanda, and then went down to the valley, up to Rampur, and then it climbed again all the way up to Sarahan, where we spent the second night. We woke up to find a gorgeous view outside the window. The Mount Srikhand range was spread before our eyes as far as we could see. The ice-clad peaks were shimmering in the brilliant sunlight. After a quick morning breakfast, we went off to visit the village and its famous Bhimakali temple complex. This would be our first encounter with the gods. The Bhimakali temple was built nearly 1,000 years ago and is dedicated to the goddess Durga. We walked up the steps to the Bhimakali temple and passed through a series of very impressive doorways. The massive doors were covered with beaten silver and had intricate carvings on them. Two fierce tigers guard the final gateway through which all the devotees pass, their heads covered as a sign of both submission and devotion. Leaving the gods and the temples behind us, we went exploring up the mountainside. Sarahan today is a sleepy village, but it was once the capital of the Bushahar kings who ruled Kinnaur, and it was an important place on the trade routes to Tibet.
কিসের কালো পাখি? কিসের কালো পাখি? এদিকে ছায়ায় আয়।
ছোট্ট কালো পাখি।
ছায়ায় আয়।
ছোট্ট কালো পাখি।
কোথায়?
এখানে অনেকগুলো গাছের উপরে আছে। এখানে একটা সুন্দর প্রজাপতি।
কোথায়?
We saw many beautiful birds that day. Shrikes, tits, thrushes, flycatcher, forktails. Unfortunately, this camera was clearly not up to the mark for such photography. Next morning, we were out on the road again. In Himachal, no matter how far up the mountain we were, we found fully stocked shops, electricity, and of course the mobile signal never left our side. One of the main reasons of this region's prosperity are the many hydroelectric projects, and we crossed a few of these being constructed. Leaving the dusty roads behind, we reached Sangla, nestled beneath the high snow-peaked mountains, the pride of the Baspa Valley. Roadside Sangla is a mishmash of multicolored shops selling nearly everything one can ask for. We were hungry, and Dia decided we had to have a taste of Tibet.
কি খাচ্ছ তোমরা? আমরা খেতে ব্যস্ত। ওনার খেতে ব্যস্ত আমরা কথা বলতে পারছি
মোমো থোপা
এখান থেকে নাও
salt sauce jol not so jhal chutney and that's it jol daw mom jol
We walked through the village down to the gurgling Baspa river. There was an interesting temple in the village of Sangla. They called it a Nag temple. The Nag here was clearly dragon-like and the temple distinctly Buddhist. The temple deity was out for darshan that day. Unfortunately, photography was prohibited. Then we took off for our adventure of the afternoon. We wanted to find the trout farm further up the river, which the books had mentioned, but our surly chowkidar had said that it was very far away. It was an interesting walk past villages and houses with exquisitely carved woodwork, and then through tall deodar forests. Finally, we reached the trout farm. The older fish were kept in the pools outside, but the fry and fingerlings were kept in a sheltered hatchery.
Then after 6 weeks they hatch out in the
Having learnt enough about raising trout, we were keen to take some back to the PWD bungalow for dinner. These 4 fish ended up on our dinner plates, crisply fried by the Buddhist cook who refused to have any himself. Later in the evening, we went exploring in the farms and orchards in the wide Sangla Valley. In summer, it seemed like a dream to be living here. And then we were in Chitkul, the last village on the Baspa Valley, barely 30 kilometers from the Tibet border. This tiny village at over 11,000 feet boasts of 3 500-year-old temples or gompas, but we didn't visit any of these. We were interested in walking along the river which flowed down in the valley below. We spent the next couple of hours lazing by the river. We had lunch with bread, jam and bhujia which we had brought along with us. Leaving Chitkul and the Sangla valley behind, we moved onwards to Kalpa, reaching it a little before sunset. The setting sun had painted the snow peaks of the Kinnaur Kailash range in astounding colors. The main building of the HP Tourism Hotel was built like a traditional Kinnauri house. After a hearty breakfast, we went out to explore Kalpa. Kalpa is the largest village in Kinnaur. It is situated right above Rikongpyo, the district headquarters. The view of the snow peaks from Kalpa are simply spectacular. Unfortunately, our plans for the morning went awry when we saw our faithful white Scorpio in this nosedive. Montuli and Dia went exploring in the village, but I stayed back watching anxiously over the proceedings. Finally, after much huffing and puffing, pulling and tugging, the Scorpio was back on the road. We visited this modern Buddhist gompa or monastery. The 30-foot tall statue of Buddha was very impressive. The priest or lama was a very nice man and showed us around. According to myths, people of Kinnaur were Kinnar or half-gods according to one version, or horse-like according to another. Most of them wear a distinct green cap. They are very hard-working and are engaged in agriculture, horticulture, sheep rearing and a number of other activities. As in other hill areas, women were the visible face of the local workforce. The main religion is Hinduism, but it is integrated with Buddhism as we saw in Sangla. Upper Kinnaur continues to be a Buddhist stronghold even now.
এটা হচ্ছে রামপুরের যে প্যালেস, আই থিঙ্ক ইটস রামপুরের রাজা, এটা রিচ রাজা, কুড বি দ্য বীরভদ্র সিং ফ্যামিলি, না ওদেরই হবে, ওদের এটা বাড়ি। আর এটা একটা বাগান ছিল হয়তো কোনো।
Our next stop was the palace of the Bushahar kings at Rampur. There were two impressive palaces in the campus and one pavilion in the garden. Veerbhadra Singh, the Raja of Rampur, had just won the general elections and his older palace hosted the local Congress party office. There should be. This was the last temple that we saw on our trip at Hatu Peak above Narkanda. A new temple was being built right next to an older one. Leaving the gods behind, we made our way back to earth and boarded the waiting Shatabdi Express at Kalka. We were tired, but we were also very happy.